Previously on Ron Sailing, Johan built custom teak drawers under the bed in the forward cabin. More snowy and cold days.
So this week I'm thinking I will cut the holes for the rest of the portholes. So there will be one in this area for the galley, the same on the opposite side, the port side of the hull. And then we will have one somewhere in this region in Vera's cabin. And also one on the opposite side in that guest cabin, but probably not in the same lengthwise position. So 4 more portholes in the hull. And the reason I'm doing this now and not continuing with the forward cabin is because we're still waiting for that fabric that we're going to have on the bulkheads. So I'm thinking we want to have that in place before we decide on the what we're going to have on the hull sides and also in the roof and everything, or in the ceiling. But I'm thinking this is a good job to take in between, because we need to have these frames and everything in place before we can start working on the interior for the rest of the boat. So it's nice to have this done. And it will be the same procedure for these, like we have for the 2 up front with the carbon frames and everything. And I still have the cutting files for that, so this should be a bit faster than the ones up front, hopefully. It looks like it's going to be another cold week. More snow, more wind, and this winter has been the worst so far in the build, and really it holds us back a bit because it's harder to work. Right now we have 6-7 below freezing out here Celsius, so you can feel it in your hands. I have the diesel heater on now just to take the top off a bit, make it a bit more easier to work. I'll turn it off in a few hours.
Johan made this template when we made the first holes, and it's a great help to get the portholes in the same height to the shear line.
Is it too cold, you think?
Yeah, it's a bit too cold. Need more heat in here.
Yeah. Bring it in here.
The epoxy gets a little bit like jelly.
Yeah. So we have 2 new holes in the boat out here in the galley, and these 2 are lining up. They're at the same position, same as the ones that we have in the front in the forward cabin. And we have 2 more portholes to go now, and those won't line up. They will be at a different position lengthwise along the hull. Because that's just practical. In Vera's cabin it needs to be a bit further aft, and in the guest cabin it will sit a bit more towards or closer to this one. But that doesn't really matter, because even if I like symmetry, you won't see both sides of the boat at the same time. I think it will be okay. We've been thinking a lot exactly where to place the portholes in these 2 cabins now. Thinking about how we're going to build the interior, and and also that the further aft you get on the hull, the closer you get to the waterline, because the shear line is dropping off, and that of course affects when you're heeling, that the portholes gets closer to the waterline. So that has also affected our decision. Is it better now?
Yeah. Oh, I think from the other.
Oh, yeah.
And the blast is blowing straight. I got something.
Yeah, I know. That's the downside of using fans. They pick up a lot of dust.
It's hard to get through the hull, but it feels really good to have a hull this thick. I just took off my mask. That's where I have marks in my face. I've been working in the guest cabin today. Been doing more tabbing, and we're slowly coming to an end with the tabbing. That one is done, that one is done. And there we have 2 layers of 600 gram fiberglass, because we want some extra strength here close to the hull and the deck. And then I've done the one up there, the one down there, this long here, and then we have the vertical over here. And now Johan has taken up the hole for the porthole in here. We have all the portholes ready now. So we're gonna order more glass.
Yeah, it was a lot of work yesterday cutting these holes. I wasted a router bit and multiple jigsaw blades from hitting stainless steel screws. between the cedar strips. But I'm really pleased with the result. The quality of the cuts are really good, and the distance from the deck line is exactly the way I wanted it on all of them. And I'm really pleased with the height of them, because when you're standing here in the galley, you will have a good line of sight through all of them, also in Vera's cabin, in the guest cabin here. So yeah, I think it will be a really great feature on the boat, these portholes. So the next thing now will be to produce those carbon fiber frames, same as we have on the ones up in the forward cabin. And I have to make some molds for that. All right, so I have the molds for the, what should you call it? The porthole window frames, carbon fiber frames, 4 of them. And I have started to cut some scrap pieces of unidirectional carbon fiber, 300 gram thickness of this, or the weight per square meter. And this will be placed around the perimeter here and pushed down into the groove, together with epoxy. And for those of you who saw when we did this the last time in the forward cabin, you know that the next step will be to flip this over and cut with the shaper origin from the other side. I have a cutting file for that as well. And if everything goes according to plan, this should produce a pretty accurate porthole frame. But there's still quite a lot of work to get these done, 4 of them, to get all this carbon fiber pushed into the groove and fully saturated, and try to keep this surface here as coplanar as possible, so we have a flat frame also on this side. We could later on sand this area, but it's a lot easier if we don't have too much of a build-up. So I think I need to cut even more carbon fiber. This will not be enough for all 4. So I guess this will take the rest of the evening. Yeah, laminating these yesterday didn't go as fast as I thought it would. It took a lot longer to get the carbon saturated and in place, so I only managed to make 2 of these. And that piece is out on the table now, ready to be sanded and cut. But before I start with that, I'm thinking I will laminate these as well. So maybe I can start cutting these later on this evening, or maybe tomorrow.
It's the next day and the frames are ready to be cut out.
Okay, so all the porthole frames are now finished. I think they turned out good. There are some minor defects that I will fill with thickened epoxy before I glue them in place. And I think they will be really strong and sturdy to fill up and compensate for the missing hull. And for those of you who saw when we made the two that we already have in place in the forward cabin, you know that we will have this type of panel in there. The outside has 8mm hardened glass, and on the inside we have a laminated panel, 11mm thick, and in between there's argon gas, so they are insulated and very sturdy. And they will sit something like this, and then we'll have a stainless steel ring on the outside, a flange like this. Yeah, the window panels are quite heavy, but I think it will be worth the extra weight having something really sturdy and insulated along the hull side where it's a bit exposed. It took a lot longer than I first remembered making these. Was a lot of work cutting them out. I didn't remember spending that much time when I did the two first for the forward cabin, but I'm happy with the results. So now I will just finish them up a bit, sand away some leftover PT foam, and then it's time to glue them in place from the inside. So I just wanted to say a few words on why we missed last week's episode. I mean, it's not uncommon that we miss a week every now and then for various reasons. It's hard to keep up building as fast as you need to produce the content that we need for the videos. But last week, that wasn't the reason. It was because my mom passed away in cancer.
It was hard for Johan to find the words, so I continue. Even though we've been working and filming the boat build as usual, behind the scenes, these past weeks have been very tough. Johan's mother got diagnosed with cancer, and only 3.5 weeks later, she sadly passed away. It's a big shock to all of us, just how fast it went, and we are very, very sad. Even if it's hard at the moment, we try to look forward and keep our minds busy with the build and videos, and think of our dream to go sailing on our homemade sailboat.
So I'm just sealing the core with epoxy before I glue the frames in with thickened epoxy. I don't know if this is really necessary, but it's just an extra precaution to let the core soak up some unthickened epoxy before I glue anything in place here. Because in a build like this with the wooden core, it's details like this that makes the difference on if this hull will last 70 years or 20. Because here on the sides we have end grain. Down here it doesn't soak up as much because it's on the side of the wood. It's always hard inside the barn here with this massive boat in place to get a good perspective on how things really look, because you can't get very far from the hull. But from what I can see in here, the portholes, the position of them, and the overall look is what we wanted to have. And I think the position on them is looking good. So I'm happy with the result. And yeah, the initial plan we had was to add one more porthole in Vera's cabin, but I think this will be enough because we're also going to have some portholes in the combing that we'll add later on. We haven't decided exactly where and the shape and size of those, so that will be a job for later on. But for now, I'm really happy with this. And yeah, next thing now with this will be to order the rest of the glass panels and maybe start working on the final design of those stainless steel flanges that will sit on the outside. But I'm thinking for next week I'm probably going to continue working on the interior instead, because now when we have these frames in place I can start working on the insulation and the cedar strips and all of that. Yeah, so that's it for this week's episode. And as always, thanks a lot for watching, and a massive thank you to our patrons for supporting our videos, and of course everybody else who's contributing to this project in different ways. So see you next Friday, and until then, take care.